I'm myself and James. So I'm the product sales manager for Modern Work, as I read my own title off the screen here. But essentially, just helping Alex, helping any of you. Mainly, I'd say around teams, but also around enablement and just kind of getting things moving a little bit more wherever I can. And then Sam is also with us, and him being our licensing specialist. So, again, I'd imagine many of you have had a chance to connect with Sam at some point or other. Super technical, helps us get through the ins and outs of licensing, license stacking, and which one and why. So that's a little bit about what we do. Essentially, we make up the modern work sales arm of Sherweb's business here. And definitely a lot of our good friends in the chat, whether that be Anne Marie from marketing, who helped put all of this together, and Akil as well for his guidance from our product manager side, and then all of your colleagues. So I know you and Lydia and a couple of our sales folks are here. I'm just looking to again get that inside track, and that was really the idea for the session today. Here's what we're going to do for the next 40 minutes or so. Um, what is Copilot? So surely some of you have seen some of these videos online. We'll go through that. I'd say maybe a little quicker. You're all in the partner program again. You're all partners who have a certain skill set, so we're not going to bore you with kind of the generic Microsoft videos. They will be playing as we do a quick voiceover, mind you. And then from there, more importantly, right? How do we start leveraging this, or how do we start putting these pawns in place? And then Alex, as insightful as ever, will help to share some of the more immediate actions again that we can take, and little did you knows that will hopefully be quite interesting. Last but not least, a Q&A at the end. That being said, don't be shy to throw them into the chat in the meantime. Anything that we can address that's kind of topical to the moment we're in, we'll do our best. Otherwise, we will definitely follow up post event with an FAQ, which we hope to have available again with our mass launch probably in early February would be my guess.
And, yeah, and do feel free to ask a lot of questions. You know that this is the week of family, right? Thanksgiving's coming in the U.S. and in Canada. We all had, at least some version of cold or snow, so we're all more huddled in as well. So please don't be shy to ask those questions. It is brand new for everyone, and our main goal here is to kind of establish that baseline knowledge of Sherweb partners, so that, like James said, you have like a little bit of an edge on those upcoming conversations with the holidays coming up. Maybe kind of plant some seeds in your customers' minds as to what they're going to need to do to start preparing for this very disruptive technology.
Alex had a quip or a mention earlier this week where he was saying it's a great time, and this webinar is going to be so relevant in terms of the timing that exactly we get to go show off around the family tables here this weekend. Say, hey, did you know? And just show off is, I think, maybe part of the
Yeah,
reason some of us are
you'll
in
be you'll
IT.
be able to one up your brother-in-law. Conversational topics. Get more turkey.
There you go.
So
Oh,
yeah, so I
awesome.
think
Yeah, so
people
we're
are
just
going to still keep coming, but let's get it going, right?
yeah, not to preamble the entire show here. So what is Copilot? For anyone who is unaware, I have an explanation. Alex says it a lot more eloquently, so I'll defer to you, sir.
Yeah, if you want, I can start because we have a lot of people on that. So hopefully, most of you are familiar with the Chat GPT by now, notwithstanding all of the news over the weekend from OpenAI. But it has taken the world by storm as of November of last year. So it's been out for a full year. It was first GPT-3, then 3.5. Now it's been up to 4, and over, starting in March and then over the summers, Microsoft started to make a lot of noise about M365 Copilot that would be coming soon, using a lot of the same technology. The first thing we want to make clear is that Microsoft 365 Copilot is not ChatGPT. It is a tool that uses GPT-4 as well as other large language models, which is why we have a huge circle of large language models here. It is used through what's called prompts. And prompts are kind of commands, what we call natural language, how you talk to the model. But because it is in the Microsoft 365 ecosphere, it is all linked to what's called the Microsoft Graph, which grounds the answers from Microsoft 365 Copilot. For example, if you are going to ask Copilot, what does my day look like? It will not answer, you're low on milk, you need to pick up the kids after school, and you have date night tonight with the wife. No, it's going to answer things about, well, you have a meeting at a presentation at 2 p.m., you have a follow up at 3 p.m., and there are 4 emails that you need to take action on. So it is all grounded in a work type environment. It is connected to anything that has access to the Microsoft Graph. So we're talking about chats, meetings, calendars, any files that you upload to SharePoint, OneDrive, all of the Office suite, so PowerPoint, Word, Excel, Outlook, and all of that. And it is there to help you be a lot more productive. So some of the large language models, like I said, has GPT-4, but there's also DAL E3, which is the image generating technology, I guess. There's also Da Vinci for anything that's related to math. Some of you have used the GPT before, know that it is notoriously bad at math. And Codex, and those that use GitHub and Copilot for GitHub are more familiar with that one, which helps for programming. So whatever type of prompt that you do with M365 Copilot, it will leverage the right language model to give you a much superior experience than if you are using one of those standalone, GPT or any type of AI technology. So it is kind of revolutionary in the sense that you will get a lot of help to be a lot more productive in these same applications that you've been already using. And it is coming fairly soon, and you have to prepare for it. Your turn, James.
Yep.
Oh, or good enough.
Yeah, I'll go through. I can read with the best of them. So, you may have seen some notes online saying that an E3 would be the base requirement when we're looking at Copilot. This is both true. Well, it's true um, for what concerns the initial launch of Copilot. So, there was a launch earlier this month for EA customers specifically, those with a seat count of a minimum of 300 seats. That was exclusive for the EA launch. What we're expecting to see on the CSP side of the business, the reason we all get to be friends, is the criteria being somewhat relaxed, I'd say. So we are looking at a minimum seat of one. So it does not blanket across the entire org, as well as the licensing. So we do have access to Copilot or M365 Copilot rather through Business Standard or Business Premium as well, and most certainly as E3's ME3 in particular and M365E5.
Yeah. So to reiterate, Copilot is an add-on that does require a base license. So you can't just have a brand new customer to Microsoft just add Copilot because they want Copilot. You need to establish the base license first. A lot like if you want to have a trailer, attached to your truck, you need the truck. The trailer can't go anywhere without the truck. So it's the same type of concept. And we really want to dispel a lot of kind of misinformation that's been out there. And it's like James said, like because Copilot was released initially on the EA side on November 1st, there were certain criteria that are native to that channel. So it is enterprise agreement, so you have to have enterprise SKUs. So obviously business standard and business premium were excluded from that. And there was also a minimum purchase of 300. That number has been kind of floating around. Like I've heard a lot of partners talk about it. I've seen it, on different forums. It is only for enterprise agreement customers. On the CSP side, you will be allowed to purchase one if you want. It is going to be a per user type of add-on, so you're not going to need to kind of make sure you have enough licenses for the whole environment if you don't need to. So it really is a lot cheaper than you could imagine. And it will be available business standard and business premium as well on the CSP side. There will be a maximum of 300 Copilot add-ons on a tenant with business standard and business premium. Without trying to get too much into the weeds, is because anything on the business side is supposed to be 300 users. Right now, you're allowed to have 300 business basic, 300 business standard, 300 business premium in the same tenant. But the spirit, the intent of Microsoft is to have 300 total business users. So for Copilot to be attached to a business license, there will be a maximum of 300. And as far as the experience is concerned, this is also something that information from Microsoft was incomplete or more geared towards the enterprise channel initially. Um, with M365 Business Premium, the experience on Copilot will be the same as with E3 or E5. So this is very important. This is very different than the initial information that we had from Microsoft on this. So it's only if you have business standard that you should expect some sort of reduced experience, less functions, less access to things that are on the tenant, because as hopefully most of you know, business standard does not include things like Azure AD Premium Plan 1, Azure Information Protection, and Intune to kind of secure the whole environment. If you want to kind of keep going through that slide, we have more information, well, somewhat more information about dates. So it is available on enterprise for enterprise customers since November 1st, but it is not something that they can just go in the catalog and buy without any questions asked. It is something that you must apply for with your Microsoft representative. They have to approve it. You have to say why you want to use it. You have to promise not to overuse it. So it is very restrictive. And Microsoft has also told us that any customer that would want to flip over to the A side to get access to Copilot earlier than CSP will be denied. That request will not go through. So we shouldn't worry about our customers wanting to move to the enterprise channel to get earlier access on Copilot. When is it going to come out for CSP? We don't have an official date other than, riddles from the Sphinx, but it is expected in the first quarter of 2024. The main reason for this is capacity. Any type of AI resources are using a ton of compute, ton of electricity. Microsoft has been ramping up their servers. They even announced at Ignite a week ago that they're going to be having their own AI chips in their data centers starting in January. So we expect that ramping up to start accelerating and be better. But until they know for sure that they can handle it, they're not going to release it on CSP. They've also told us that it is their intent, again, no promise, but it is their intent to make Copilot available to partners ahead of the CSP launch, whether it's going to be added through your solutions designations or legacy benefits, or if it's going to be an invitation in the early access program, like some of your customers have received from Microsoft in the last couple of months, is yet to be determined. But the idea is that they really want partners to kind of kick the tires, if you will, before the full launch, because it is a new thing that you want to get used to. For all of the other channels, so we're talking about Microsoft Direct, um, government type SKUs, the academic sector or nonprofit, there have not been any dates announced yet. And it is for the same reason. Its capacity is the main bottleneck right now. And they want to make sure that all the paying full price customers get access first before those other channels are serviced. I think there was somebody that raised their hand. I don't know if they wanted to just kind of put the question in the chat for us.
Or you should be able to come off mute if you wanted. I believe it was Justin. Feel free to, sorry to call you out just like that there, but feel free to throw it into the chat or ping us offline after, go through your
Mhm.
account rep, and we'll
I'll
definitely
answer anything that goes in the chat, so I'm monitoring it.
Oh, there we go. Sammy D, thanks so much. Excellent. So yeah, so throw in any thoughts, comments in there. Really quickly, again, I said I wasn't going to bore you with what it does in Word or an Outlook or Excel or PowerPoint. We're doing okay on times. I might do a 10-second on each. What do you think, Alex?
Sure, it really is like the main point is to help people understand that this is not magic. It's not going to do things for you, but it will help you get from point A to point B a lot faster. So whenever you're managing your daily inbox, if you're, coming back from a weekend or a vacation, you have tons of emails coming in, you're spending hours doing the triage of those things. with Copilot, you can ask it to do that first scan for you, saving you tons of time. Whenever you're writing an email, like a response to a thread, you can ask Copilot to start that reply for you. And then you kind of go over, maybe change a couple words or anything like that. As things get better, it'll probably start writing it for you completely and you'll just hit send. But it is a huge time saver. Think of it as the car for people that had to go to places walking before. It's nothing that they couldn't do themselves before. It's just a lot faster and takes a lot less energy.
And maybe just to build on what you're saying, just the in terms of it drafting replies. So we are privileged enough to have a sneak peek here internally for some of us here. So the replies are good, not great. For anything I've drafted, I've never once been able to say yes, finish product and ship it out. There is always and really always a human intervention required, at least to review. Maybe it's going to miss one of the objectives as part of your input or your prompt, but always go back and validate wording. I did one, for example. I said, "Hey, summarize this presentation," and it did. It created me a nice little slide, nice little blurb. But I didn't have my picture or my name or Sam's picture or name on the presenter slide, so it was Alex Laflamme and Lorem Ipsum. That kind of the dummy text from Microsoft. So it'll capture. It knew that was a presenter spot, but there's no one at Sherweb named Lorem Ipsum. So always intervene. And so we have jobs for another couple of years essentially. In Excel, similarly, this is one I think is going to be one of the bigger ones. If you're like Alex or myself, who we openly share our dismay or our lack of competence, honestly, when it comes to Excel. Well, this is going to be able to take everyone who's a novice or beginner level Excel user right up to expert. And again, using this natural language. So no fancy formulas, linking this page and VLOOKUPs and all these crazy things that Nikhil and our team can do. But rather, hey, find me some insights. Is there anything I'm missing as part of this data? Are there any outliers or any trends? Can you chart these trends? These are all things you'll be able to do, again, near instantaneously. I'd say out of the parts of Copilot that I've gotten to try, the least baked would be Excel, in my opinion. Again,
Mhm.
I'm an absolute novice, so what do I actually know? But it's not as, it definitely hasn't figured into my day-to-day as much as PowerPoint, as much as Outlook, as much as Word or chat. Probably being my favorite Copilot as part of the M365 stack.
And for Excel quickly, it's going to make, like you said, like people that are novice or beginners into experts, but it's going to make experts like Formula One drivers. So it's not going to replace or eliminate their role, especially when it comes to the critical thinking as to why you're asking those questions. So if anyone, or if you have any customers, that are in accounting or things like that, it is not the end. It's not, the end is nigh or anything like that. They will love the functions from Copilot and will be able to go even further in their, data analytics and data scientists and telling stories from the data. It's just that instead of having to do all of it manually or through macros, macros are going to be a thing of the past, but Copilot is going to really make them even better than the new experts that used to be newbies.
It's like an automatic level up for any
Hmm.
gamers in the crowd here. It's across the board. It's sweeping in Word again. So if anyone, I don't know how you might have got on just yet here, but drafting the invites for this session, that was AI entirely. We were just like, well, here's the audience, and here's what we're going to talk about. Um, can you help? And it really did. Again, small tweaks, changing the tone a little bit to be more human and more of what we do. But there too, there are controls within Copilot to make it sound more professional, more casual, more direct, or even in a poem, being one that I've started to play with and annoy some of my colleagues with lately.
Yeah, and if you're like, say you're at a customer's place and you're writing notes or taking them, recording from your phone, and you need to create a proposal from that. Well, instead of having to look through your notes, look through that recording, try to figure out the way to do this, you just ask Copilot to create that first draft for you from notes you took in OneNote or any type of transcripts that you have from your team's meetings with those. And you will be incredibly impressed with, how close to what it would have been from you after a few hours. And it's all done in seconds.
That's huge. I'll touch on that a little bit. I guess even here. So again, in terms of putting the slides together here, we had linked to some documents. You can see the linking here. And we said, hey, we found this Microsoft collateral, and this is kind of the Sherweb way to go about it. Can we build me this presentation? Here are the points I want to cover, and here's your data source. And it really can put together a presentation for you. Like Alex mentioned, in terms of DALI being in the fold here, tweaking this picture, that picture, maybe more of a lifestyle with two adults and one child. You name it, it's gonna be able to pull stuff together for you. Um, it's going to speed it up again. And for any of the marketers there, it's not necessarily able to replace. You still have to have this logic, you still have to have that understanding. But that being said, doing that market research, and these are all things that can be automated or outsourced through Copilot, essentially.
And any images that would be created using, again, like DALI through Copilot for your PowerPoint presentations, Microsoft will protect any type of copyright claim or issues, cease and desist letters, takedowns from YouTube, or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about, Getty images or stock photos or anything like that whenever you're creating those new presentations. And you can ask Copilot to make nice transitions between your slides so that it looks even more professional than, what it would have taken you hours to do.
That is one thing, admittedly, we did not do in this one. So we just have the old school slide jumping here. But rest assured, come January, we'll be leveraging it more, right? So it is new, it is still developing, we're still learning. And again, why I wanted to have this session to give you guys this inside track is there's a lot to know, and we just don't know what we don't know yet. But we're getting there again, and we're putting it to the ringer. And again, we're going to keep having these sessions to share. Hey, this is what we saw this week, and here's what's a little bit more new, or tips and tricks. Again, so here's one covering in Teams. So this one I won't spend too much time on. Essentially, having an intelligent recap of Teams meeting. So Copilot will be able to say, Alex and James were in this meeting. Oh, perfect example. We did an internal training with our sales team just last week as we prep for this. And we sent it out after. And you could see the to-dos that were captured by Copilot. And it was sales team to communicate with your preferred partners. And then you see James and Alex to follow up with the meeting recap. And it really said, so entire sales team, James, Alex, and any individual who had their task determined by Copilot was also listed in there, along with the transcript and just an overall summary of the meeting as well.
And because I've done a few of these presentations, some questions that have come up, like one thing is like, this is, to me at least, like the most powerful and mature part of Copilot, anything that has to do with meetings. And as long as you have the transcripts turned on, if you look at the transcript, it will have some of the artifacts that, kind of gibberish of not understanding the right words and all that, like most of the transcript technologies have today. But then when you ask for the summary of it from Copilot, it does use that artificial intelligence to infer what those words were supposed to be. And the summary is really, to me, like, it's the equivalent of having that personal assistant with you on the meeting that's listening to everything everyone is saying, is not missing out on, any note taking and insights or pain points or concerns or questions from the actual interaction that you have, allowing you to focus 100% on that conversation. Like, sometimes I'm lucky to have on calls with you guys, with partners about the partner center. We have the account manager that's there on the call, that's taking notes, getting ready to know what the action items are, next steps, and things like that. But ever since we've had Copilot, everybody saves a whole bunch of time, because now the account manager can just participate on the call, see if there's any, opportunities that, the partner didn't know about that Sherweb was offering, and kind of build that rapport and make it, just be present the whole time on the call. So I can totally see, partners using this with their own customers and really be 100% on the call, focusing on that conversation without sacrificing any of the insights, any of the action items, any of the potential upselling opportunities through Copilot. So for that alone, to me, it's worth the price of admission.
Yeah, and then this is something that is also available. So this intelligent recap is also available through a license called Teams Premium. So again, it's if you want to kind of dip your toes into the AI water, that's kind of low hanging fruit or something that's really accessible as of right now. And as Alex mentioned, this feature is the most baked, the most vetted, the most complete so far because it is and has been commercialized already. So Microsoft has had a chance to refine it over time.
You have to remember that, when the first iPhone came out, it did not have 3 different cameras on both sides and spatial audio and virtual reality and night lighting, just like the US military. Like, these are progressions of things.
Exactly. And here is one. Are we gonna let the video run here?
Maybe right before you go into that, because I just saw a question that passed by that was kind of very important about the differences between the limitation on the business standard plus Copilot versus business premium plus Copilot, because everything with business premium and above does include the whole tenant, sensitivity labels for the whole tenant, any type of data that's accessible to the whole organization. Well, Copilot has access to that, whereas with business standard, since it lacks all of those, organization-wide capabilities, it will only have access to files that are authored by you or meetings that you were involved in or emails that were sent to you or by you. So it will help you, but it will only have a limited view of the data versus the whole tenant. So for example, if you didn't put in the employee handbook on your own OneDrive and you ask Copilot, how many weeks of vacations do I have in 2024? It will not be able to find it. But if you have business standard, business premium or above, and somebody from HR put the employee handbook on a public folder on OneDrive, like a shared folder, anyone in the organization type thing, and you ask Copilot that same question, it will tell you that you have 3, 4, 5 weeks or more if you're in Germany. You're back on mute.
Oh, I was gonna say shout out to Germany and one of our dear friends, Tram. Excellent. So we'll let a short video run through here. I'm just giving you an idea of Microsoft Chat, and this is my favorite. So I won't ruin it for you. Here we go.
You did the same mistake I did. If you mute yourself, it mutes the
Introducing Microsoft 365 Chat. A powerful
Camera 2. Well, that's a lot of fun. Sorry about that, everyone.
new capability in Microsoft 365 to solve your most complex problems at work. Let's say you're a marketer at a national chain of home improvement stores, and you need to get the latest on the store opening. You start your day with Copilot, asking what's hot in your inbox today. It does some thinking and gives you an overview of the most pressing items. Great. Looks like the new store opening plans could use your attention. Let's dive in deeper there. Copilot combs through all your recent emails, chats, documents, and meetings, whether you attended them or not, to get you up to speed in moments. It didn't just summarize a single document. It knew what sources to pull from and what information to extract from each. Next, you need to do some market research. Let's say you want details on square footage and the proximity of competitors to your new location. M365 Chat scours the web, and within seconds, it finds everything you're looking for. And it includes references, so you can easily fact-check the results. You're curious. How does this stack up against the other stores you're opening in the past year? Copilot figures out which stores you mean, crunches the numbers, and gives you the answer. Next on your to-do list, finalize the date and speaker for the opening event. You missed the last meeting, and this might have come up in the conversation. Copilot's got you covered, getting you up to speed in seconds. Looks like it was a dynamic discussion, and it's your responsibility to make a final decision. To do that, you need to understand all the factors at play, including the implications they have on your grand opening timeline. Copilot extracts the relevant details and puts them in an organized table, which helps bring the full picture into view. You're not seeing a clear answer, so you ask it to recommend the best date and speaker based on the constraints discussed. It not only understands the constraints, it thinks through the options to help solve your problem. There you go. Now you have a clear recommendation, so you can make the call and notify the team. Now that you've got the opening date, you've got to get customers excited. Time to write a blog post. You point Copilot to the right files and ask it to tune the message to the audience. Note the amount of detail, such as asking it to pick the top 5 things and make them prominent. Here it goes. Copilot gets to work. Okay, now you've got a blog post. This store will be the first to unveil your new home improvement concierge service, and you need a catchy tagline. Let's generate some options. This is great for when you've got a case of writer's block. Here we go. These look pretty good. Lastly, you want to highlight the impressive retail experience of the new store manager. Best source for that? LinkedIn. Copilot generates an updated blog for you that includes the new additions. Now, the opening is just around the corner, and you've got to send an email to the team so they have everything they need to push this over the finish line. Now, one of the amazing things about Copilot is you don't need to worry about things like punctuation, spelling, or being super structured. You can give it a total brain dump. You could spend the next hour putting together an email that outlines the key details, but with Copilot, you're never more than a few seconds away from a solid first draft. There was a great quote in the store walkthrough video that you want to include, but you don't remember where you last saw it or have time to search for it, let alone re-watch it to find the quote. Based on your quick description, Copilot finds the exact video you're thinking of, extracts the quote you wanted, and plugs both the quote and the video into your email. So you like the drafts, but it doesn't sound like you. Introducing Sound Like Me in Outlook. Now you can personalize any email to match your unique style and voice. And check this out. It even knows your signature. M365 Chat is a whole new way to work.
Whoa. Because like I've seen snips of it before, but that was it's so fun just to like be reminded to what extent, and I'd be lying to say I get anywhere near that productive. But taking something from conceptualization or a strategy to through all the steps rather. Um, Again, MP65 Chat is where it's the
I
one I
love the
play with the most.
sentence where he says, it's going to look through all of your meetings, whether you attended them or not.
We still need you in
That I
all our
think that
meetings.
a lot of people here will love that. Also, a lot of MSPs, they struggle with like the copywriting aspect of their business. How do I create taglines or catchy phrases? Just have it scan different documents internally and say, come up with 5, kind of taglines or slogans that we can use for our new campaign, and you'll be very impressed with the results. At least it will inspire you for that perfect, combination of words. But enough about dreams and all that. Let's bring everybody back down to earth. How to prepare for Microsoft 365 Copilot. This is not a plug-and-play solution for most of your customers unless you wear the absolute best in permissions and content management. Permissions and content management is going to be yeah, Bill, I can't wait. Bill wants to be on vacation. I can't wait to be on vacation. That's going to be when Autopilot comes out in a few years. But now we're going to go with Copilot first. So for a lot of customer environments, no content management practices have ever been made. So whenever anyone uploads something to their OneDrive, SharePoint, sometimes just to be more convenient, they'll say, well, anyone that is in my organization that has access to this link will be able to have access to this information. This was great whenever you relied on individual users to use their own skills to try to dig deep in the tenant and find certain things. But with Copilot, brand new employee could say, what are the future plans for the company? And unless there's been some sort of content management and sensitivity labels applied, Copilot will answer what the future plans of the company are and what the C-suite salaries are and what their HR file says and all of that, which is potentially the worst nightmare for an organization. So to seize that opportunity, partners will need first to master permissions and content management best practices. Microsoft has a ton of new documentation on this. I did kind of see quickly one of the chat questions talk about Microsoft Purview. Microsoft Purview is going to become your new best friend for customers that have never done any of this in the past. There are some AI kind of boosted tools that will do a scan or an assessment of the environment to try to give you some pre-labeling for the users, and then options to do tests. There's a full walkthrough video on Microsoft Mechanics right now, which is very interesting. So if any part of your bread and butter was to do audits on governments and permissions and content management, this will be your year. This is going to be very important to set that up for customers long before they have a Copilot. The analogy I like to use is that if you are planning to move, you don't want to wait until the moving truck is in your driveway before starting to pack boxes. You want to do this long ahead of time so that you have an easier time getting to your destination. For security, privacy, and data residency, the absolutely great news about this is that since it is not the OpenAI ChatGPT service, it is all within the Microsoft ecosystem. So that means it's on the Azure servers, and that means that any security, privacy, and data residency policy feature that you've enabled, service that you have active, will be respected by Copilot. So any European user, it will respect GDPR and Euro data laws. Anyone in Canada, you'll have all of your data there. So in Quebec, all of the new data residency laws will be observed. So this is a great way to kind of get that trust from end customers that anything that you've already put in place or have been meaning to put in place will apply when it comes to Copilot. After that, license management, it can be as simple as, hey, we have the right users and we're going to go into the admin center and apply the add-on to them. But you will find that it is, again, not a fully plug and play type of solution. There will be some decisions that will need to be made at the tenant level. For example, you need to turn on the ability to have transcriptions from Teams meetings. Otherwise, Copilot or Teams Premiums that James mentioned earlier will not work. You'll actually get a message, that it will not, that it's been disabled at the tenant level. You will also want to enable perhaps cross-app intelligence. As we saw at the end of that video, he's write that email, edit in Outlook so that those two Office apps can talk to each other. You need to have that cross-app intelligence feature turned on at the tenant level. And finally, when it comes to going on the web, any type of AI tool uses what's called WebSockets instead of HTTP. So that's a two-way type of communication. So you need to enable that possibility. A lot of VoIP type of people here would remember this as quality of service or QoS that has to be turned on to ensure maximum throughput for those specific requests with the AI servers. Yeah, staying up to date. You went by the slide very quickly, but staying up to date and driving Copilot adoption is a lot in the same sense. There are some tools within the M365 Admin Center that will allow you to kind of monitor who is using Copilot and for what. So you'll be able to see, hey, Susie's using it for Teams meetings and it's great, but it is not using it at all in Excel or PowerPoint or Word. Maybe it has nothing to do with her job and that's why, but it will give you those insights to make sure your customers are getting the best bang for their buck. And you will also be able to give them certain tools to kind of get better at using prompts if you find that the usage, the adoption is lacking. for staying up to date with changes and announcements, well, that's going to be a bit of a challenge. But you can do your best by signing up for the Microsoft blog on all of the AI changes. But like we mentioned at the beginning of the call, and um, as if you just turn on the news, you will see this is a very fluid situation. I don't believe that Sam Altman thought he would be a Microsoft employee at this time, this week compared to where he was last week. We don't know what's going to happen with OpenAI afterwards. Is he going to go back there? It's kind of like a Spanish soap opera right now. It's very melodramatic. It's pretty crazy. All of the different information that's coming from there. There's also lots of competition in the AI space. It's not only Microsoft that's out there. One major announcement that you may have missed over the weekend was that Amazon is coming out with their own large language model called Olympus, and it has 2 trillion parameters, which is twice as many as GPT-4. So the race is on, right? And this is to add to Google's Bard, IBM's Watson, and all of the different GPTs that are coming from OpenAI. So it is, if you're tired of hearing about AI already, I have some bad news for you for next year, because it really, we haven't seen anything yet. The only interest we've seen right now is from the early adopters, is the people actively seeking new technologies. It hasn't hit mainstream yet. Get ready and buckle up.
It's going to be fun. And maybe another way, just shamelessly flaunt the logo here. We're going to try and keep you guys as up to date as possible. Again, we're going to have some of these types of sessions scheduled more regularly. So once per month for the invite only crowd, as we are today. But again, our blogs as well and other mediums that will be doing our best, right? Like Alex said, like we may publish something. Part of the reason we're not recording this one is that in January, this could very well be obsolete. Maybe there's a lot more info. Maybe the licensing has been revamped. Like it could go in any which way here. So again, we're just trying to give you as much info as we can.
Yeah, this slide of like updates on Copilot that was supposed to be like, oh, here's the latest updates. We could have a whole new slide of other updates that have happened since then, just from Microsoft Ignite last week. Things like SharePoint Premium that's coming. My favorite is Copilot Studio, and this is kind of to rival the GPTs, if you follow that, where you can kind of customize your agent so that it has a persistent memory of certain things. Again, like for M365 Copilot, my first thought would be to HR. You can upload all of the different, the up-to-date employee guidebook, all of the different policies for 2024, so that any user within the company that prompts Copilot on HR policies always has the most up-to-date information. Bing Chat is, rip, rest in peace. We lost 2 Bings almost in that same week, right? We lost Chandler Bing and we lost Bing Chat. So it's been renamed Copilot. So, what could possibly go wrong with the confusion for the name for that? For anything that's a Bing Chat, kind of public, is just Copilot now, and Bing Chat Enterprise is Copilot Pro. So more information on that as these things come out. Do check out the M365 roadmap and type in Copilot to see that there are a ton of things that are coming. But now, yes, since time is moving pretty fast, we still have questions as well. Onto the insights.
Yeah, so we'll go, like you said, you're kind of a little bit quicker through these ones.
Yeah, so the main point, that you want to do whenever you're talking to your customers is to position yourself as an expert. And whenever you are looking for new customers, leading with value is always great. And this, kind of new age of AI and Copilot gives you a huge opportunity with assessments and recommendations to help existing and potential customers understand where they are on their AI journey. It's a lot like the digital transformation of old, but this time the impact is much greater and the timeline is much shorter. So there's going to be a lot of questions about that. There's a lot of customers that are looking for for information on this, not getting it from their current provider, you going there and talking about assessing their current environment and making some recommendations is going to be a great first step. You can charge for this for your existing customers, or you can, kind of pretend charge for this to again lead with value. It's a great kind of foot in the door type of option. Then once those assessments and recommendations have been made, lots of opportunity for migrations, plugging in external data and third-party plugins, because for Copilot to be the best, you have to have everything on the Microsoft graph. So if some of the users are not using Teams because they're using Zoom or Slack, well, right away, right after this meeting, you're calling them and you're saying, turn on transcriptions on your tenant, or I've turned on transcriptions on your tenant, start using Teams and turn on recordings and transcriptions for all of them. Why? In 6 months, if they get Copilot and they've done what you've told them to do, they will have 6 months of insights of all those customer conversations. They'll be able to ask Copilot, any patterns or insights. What is my ideal client profile? What kind of OKRs or KPIs could I get from this customer data? It's a gold mine. But if they've been using Zoom or Slack or, God forbid, Facebook groups for those chats, none of that data is available, and it's as if you're starting, from scratch. Identity governance policy. I know I've had some conversations with some partners on this. This is as well. They're going to be in very, very high demand. If you're not that familiar with identity governance, look up Microsoft Purview. Start, eating it, along with turkey for Thanksgiving or over the holidays, because there's going to be some cautionary tales in 2024. There's going to be something on CBC or CNN or whatnot that's going to say this Fortune 500 company, brand new employee, leaked all of their data online. We now know all of this about. There's going to be some. You don't want that to be your customers. You want to make sure that your customers, all of that is set up properly. That you have some testing. Lots of guidance, lots of info is available from Microsoft. Like James said, in 2024, we're going to try to provide as much help as possible from where we're seated. Right? We can never be the boots on the ground, but we'll try to help as best as possible. And on the last part, if you have to do upgrades, right? Let's say your customers have a lot of business basic, some of them are on business standard, but they want the full Copilot experience. We're going to move to business premium. You will want to review their technology stack afterwards, because business premium comes with a ton of extra security features, archiving and things like that. So it gives you a chance to kind of add those services to those monthly services you're charging them for. Education and workshops. When Google came out, when the mouse came out for computers, people had to get courses on how to use a computer mouse, how to use Google, what are keywords. It's going to be the same thing with Copilot. It is natural language, but it is still a language like a programming language. It just uses English. You do have to kind of work with it to get better. So there's going to be lots of ways to kind of shoulder your customers on those journeys. Sorry, James, I think you were going to say something. I was lost on mine.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say around the prompting, this is something that we are looking at kind of in the near medium term, if you will. So probably February and March, we are in the midst of putting something together, because again, that is it is the wheel, right? It is how we drive the car that is AI. So again, we're going to be looking to equip you guys with as much.
Yeah, and then since it's not free, right? $30, the add-on per user, plus potentially the upgrade that you made the user do to get the full experience. Well, customers are going to want to get information that they're really getting the best bang for that their investment is worth it. So the management, the monitoring, and the reporting that comes with Copilot is going to be very useful to kind of show that value to end customers. And then some thoughts, on AI in general. One thing that again, we can kind of use. I don't think anyone, knew last week that there was any problems at OpenAI, and that there could be, a huge shift in that company. And now OpenAI is in a turmoil because Sam Altman was the face of the company. It was a lot more than a company, and a lot of people want to move, with him to Microsoft. So very important whenever you are considering AI solutions to have that long-term vision in mind that, certain startups, new party, third-party vendors, they may have a brand new, very shiny, AI option, but is that company going to be there in a year? Did that company do all of their due diligence in the back end to make sure that I'm not opening myself up to a new attack vector of some kind that nobody knew about because it uses AI and all of that. So have to be very cautious as to how you approach this with end customers. I know that a lot of customers are going to be very excited about this, but it's very important from your end to kind of hold them back and make them accountable for, getting things done in the right way, right? Like we talked a little bit earlier about it needs to be trained. It needs to be put, it needs to have access to all of the stuff that's on the Microsoft stack. Of course, I kind of saw that past in the chat. There will eventually be options to connect it with Google, to connect it with on-prem and all that. Just like on the App Store right now, you can purchase anything from a number of companies, including from Microsoft. But that was not true on day one. The last kind of point that's kind of very important is because of the way all of the AI products work, they will require users to move up to premium SKUs, and those premium SKUs are more expensive. So if your technology stack for your users right now involves 4, 5, 6, 7 different providers, your customers may face 5, 6, 7 different price increases that they're not going to enjoy very much. So it might be a good time to kind of review their technology stacks, see if there's any type of doubling up of services, and consolidate those to pick a clear winner. Last part, most of you here probably are already Sherweb partners, if not considering to very seriously to become Sherweb partners. So other than these webinars and all of the other things that we're going to want to help our partners get ready, get AI ready, get their customers AI ready in 2024, we can help partners attain solutions designations, enroll in the right incentives programs, leveraging all of the workload adoptions that you're going to get your users to do. Like if they're using Slack and now they're going to be using Teams, why not get paid for them using Teams now? Mapping and attaining any specializations, which is the next step after solutions designations. How to get trainings, from the benefits and optimizations of your partner center. All of the acronyms that Microsoft uses related to incentives we know. And leading up to that next slide, anything that we're doing through the SMB master's program that James and all, have been kind of helming for the past year. Next step. Copilot will be available in 19 languages on day one. So it's all the main languages that you know and love. So, English, French, Italian, Spanish, Mandarin, Russian, all of those. But, I don't think, any type of, I don't think Sanskrit or cuneiform is available yet. What we're going to try to do for the next steps, right? We're going to try to make sure our partners are as informed as can be on everything Microsoft 365 Copilot. We're going to want to run these webinars with, the latest on it, anything that's obsolete, anything that's changing, any, kind of insights on when, any real dates, that are coming. Anything that we can kind of produce from where we're seated again on customer readiness, like, checklists, like little, top 5 things to do, top 5 things not to do. We're going to want to have some events in person. We're going to want to help you, host those kind of first webinars, for your customers, as long as it's not, 5 of us for one customer person, right? As long as it makes sense. We want to be as involved as you want us to be on this, because we really think that this is the future for MSPs to get on that AI wave, or kind of tsunami that's coming our way. And I think I've talked too much. Anything you want to add, James?
Well, not anymore, Alex. Thanks for thanks for giving a chance. No, I did try a couple of times to try to interrupt you and let you take a single half breath in the last 10 minutes here. That being said, Alex obviously knows the stuff. Sam, myself, the rest of our team are equally informed. equally. We are more or less as informed as Alex. All this to say, again, any way that we can support you, whether this be through Copilot, through your go-to-market strategy, the ins and outs of what it does, if you want to see it, these are all things that we can definitely help accommodate you. To the Sherweb team as well, reach out to them. Any thoughts, anything that we can do to help support your business, essentially, anything that's in the cloud, anything that Sherweb can touch or assist you with, do let us know. We are here to support you. We are here, again, to give you this inside track, to give you as much info and support in whatever flavor, shape that takes. This is Fast Talking Alex. This is Fast Talking James. It is 3 p.m. We kept you for the hour here. We appreciate you all joining us. We did put some links into the chat as well, Anne-Marie. Thank you so much. So there is a webinar coming up in January. We will also send it an invite, so not to worry if you don't click on it right away. Your AMs or your account managers rather will send you out an invite. I'm explaining a little bit more, but we'll be getting up to in January. And any other events, again, being mindful and respectful of your time, also knowing that we also have other meetings to jump into, being outside of our regular webinar format. We thank you all for having taken the time.
Happy Thanksgiving, happy Turkey Day.
Enjoy the weekend to our friends in the south here, and
hoping to see you all healthy in 2024.